the songs that are inspired directly by New York and the events of the 11th of September as well?
Every Day, Bounce, and Undivided were direct hits. I live very close to the beach, and Richie was at my house, and we were slated to write that morning, and I woke up early and saw the first plane hit, and as the second one hit, I woke him up and said, there's something very important going on, you know, and we watched, and like everyone else in the world, were glued to the televisions, not wondering what was going to happen to the rest of the world. It obviously had an influence because the smoke literally wafted over my house, and my community lost more people than they did in World War II and Vietnam combined. So the community was very hard hit, and then you found yourself doing anything, everything you could. But I didn't want to make a 9/11 record. What it helped me do in the general theme of the record was to make sure that there was no fodder on it, no fluff. We got very self-conscious about saying something that may have a universal optimistic message, hitting it on the head, but moving on. So we wrote from a point of view of, okay, it's a year later, Middletown, New Jersey is dusting themselves off, and they're going to live their life every day. For one moment in time, regardless of your background, we were undivided. That's a fact. You know, for Bounce and the resiliency of New York, if you walk out on our streets right now, you'll see that resiliency. So they all make lyrical sense. They had to convince me before I could give them to you.
It's about the inspiration of actually getting it back together, you know. I mean, it's not like there was a split, but let's talk about the moment where you go, okay, look, we're ready now. It ain't going to be fame. It ain't going to be money. What is it?
Art. That's why we started doing this in the first place, is playing music because you love it. This is fun, and that's why we're here.
Do you have to reach down deep to find this passion now?
I don't think so. Because there really is no other motivating factor. It's not fame, it's not fortune. It's because the desire to create. And because the exuberance that we had coming off of Crush, we did run in. You know, I remember being guilty of not enjoying the success of Slippery so much so that we ran in and did New Jersey within a year's time. But now we're much more mature, and it's 13 years later since that period.
How can you not enjoy?
Slippery was such a whirlwind that it was like, you just couldn't see the forest through the trees. It was
24 years
It was one of those milestones, you know, the Michael Jackson Thriller and the Madonna Like a Virgin, and you're 25 and you're selling, you know, gazillions of records, and you went from being a really cool little opening band, you know, at the Dominion Theater to playing the Donington Festival. You go, wow.
I was thinking about this before I was coming along to meet you guys, and I was thinking, okay, so it's 20 years in and everything. And if I was sitting here talking to a solo artist, there's no way on earth I'd go, so do you reckon this could be the last one? But of course, because it becomes a band thing, it becomes that thing where everyone has to be on board, everyone's in the right frame of mind. Is it going to, have you had a point yet where it's like, Jesus, I think that was the last one?
If we had that point, it was after New Jersey from exhaustion. Got over that hump, and at this point, someone said to me on the last record, I guess the band's beyond the point of breaking up. And I thought that was a very wise statement, because I guess it really truthfully is. Like we said, there's no other reason to make the records other than you feel the creativity. So nowadays, I think it's just because we're exuberant, we wanted to do this kind of a rehearsal situation. We've never done anything like this before. There's a reason to come out and talk about it, let's go do it.
The pressures of touring, at this point, I can honestly say the only experience I've ever had was as a DJ on a tour for 2 months. Took me 2 years to get over that. 2 years. How on earth do you, I mean, this is the, I was like a kid in at Christmas in the candy shop. What, we can do this now?
How old were you?
I was about 30, man. I was 30 even.
It's hard.
30, yeah. It was like...
You were a member of the Too Much Fun Club.
Yeah.
For 2 months only.
Yeah, I know.
It's harder when you're older.
Yeah, and it hurts longer.
Yeah.
Dude, we've had a lot of miles, that's for sure, but a lot of smiles too because of that, you know.
I think we've learned how to do it successfully, and we've built in certain amenities and breaks into our schedules, and we know how to pace ourselves so we can get through it, and more importantly, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're about these days. We're about, you know, doing it seriously, but also having a good time doing it.
Being in that moment, you know, not waiting for the next moment, or when's that break going to be, or enjoying that moment.
And let's face it, there ain't that many bands that are still doing it at this point. I mean, listen, I've read the Motley Crue book, Jesus, you know, and it's like, whoa, that's so far out there. But you just got to, I guess you just got to have that cut-off point, haven't you?
heroin and death and killing guys in the car is pretty extreme. You know?
That's where the wall comes down.
Call me a prude, but
That'll change it.
that'll
It's more boring.
Yeah, and by those
more
standards,
boring
are pretty boring. But you know, if you look at the Stones out there now, I mean, I still think they're the greatest rock and roll band in the world. I mean, I'd hate to follow them on a stage; they'd kick your ass, you know. But could I see myself being 66 and running around as a rock star? I'd be hard pressed to be seeing myself doing that.
I've caught up with a couple of bands recently that are big childhood heroes. I saw The Who for the first time 2 years ago.
They were unbelievable.
It was incredible.
Awesome.
So surely that's going to be like, there's that element of, you know what, there's still going to be people out there that still haven't seen us that we can win over.
Sure. Hey, God bless them. I can't say that we won't be doing it, that's for sure. No. But on the other hand, I think to myself, holy Christ, I'm 40 in this. What am I going to do at 65?
The spirit of rock and roll and the incredible buzz that can happen with a communication with an audience. Sometimes you think it's like it's in its purest form when you're playing the smaller gigs. And then you take it out and you do those stadiums.
I don't think it changes. I'm just as excited about playing for 300 people in this room as I am about Wembley Stadium. I still got to try to sing good, so that really doesn't matter.
Is there not a feeling of like working off an audience all the time? What's it like, that level of communication that you have with that many people out there?
It doesn't differ.
Really?
Honest to God, I don't think it differs.
You got to be good, no matter what.
Let's get this one. Let's jump in the time machine, go back 20 years, and I want you all to meet each other in a room. What's the impressions you're going to have of you?
Well, let me get this straight. We're going back 20
years? You're going
years,
back 20 years.
And we were still
or
playing
even the 20-year-olds walk into the room here.
Cocky, arrogant.
Blind faith of what you were doing?
Any words of advice for yourself at that point?
Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
Don't change it.
Yeah, enjoy the ride. Don't take it for granted.
Don't wear
too
spandex.
seriously.
Don't wear spandex. Stay off the hairspray.